Hi, my name is Sharon Pope. I help women and occasionally a few brave men get the clarity that they need to know whether they should stay or go in their struggling and disconnected marriages. There are two words that I hear all day, every day, and that is stuck and paralyzed. The reason for that is that people feel stuck because they don't know how to stay and make the relationship feel better, but they also don't know how to take the next steps to be able to walk away from the relationship either, which just leaves them feeling lost and totally confused. Now, when you are reaching for clarity on a decision as big as this, I don't think that this is a pros and cons list that you're making, but I do think that you need more information. Now, many times when we feel like we need more information in our relationships, what we do is we go to our partner and we ask them questions. Here's what I need. Here are the things that I want you to answer. And lo and behold, they don't come up with the answers that we really have in our minds of what we want to hear. So because that doesn't work, what I'm going to offer you is a different suggestion. And that is, when you change the way that you engage in the relationship and you change the way that you show up inside that relationship, that's when your partner's actions and reactions to you also start to change. And those changes, that's what gives you more information to be able to make a decision that you can not just believe in, but be able to take action upon. So let me give you an example of two of my clients, which are very different examples. So one is a woman that I'll refer to as Jan. She completely changed the way that she was showing up in her marriage of 30 plus years. She softened. She started to love her husband for who he was, as he was, instead of trying to get him to be who she had previously wanted him to be. She dropped the sarcasm and she started really communicating. And in doing so, she got some more information. Her husband was showing her what he was capable of doing and what he wasn't capable of doing. And then because of that more information, she was able to make a decision for herself about, is this enough? Is this enough raw material for me to work with and to feel really good about inside this relationship? And so she was able to make a decision from there that she really knew was the right next step for her. Now I'll tell you about another client of mine that I'm going to refer to as Beth. Obviously that's not her name. She had decided that there was no other option besides to separate from her husband. She had talked and requested and fought and cried and all of the things that we try to do to get our relationships to feel better. But she did know enough to know that she had to start doing things differently, and she needed that space to be able to take a bit of a breath in her relationship. So she decided to separate. Now, I know that the conventional thinking is that as soon as you separate, you are headed towards divorce, and clearly that does happen. But that's not to say that it has to happen that way. Because inside of a separation, you've gotten out of the day-to-day patterns, and that gives you space to be able to enter into the relationship from a very different place. And so there were several things that happened during her separation. She continued to grow. She had that mental and emotional space to be able to begin to see her husband and love him right where he was. She got really clear about who she was and what she really wanted inside of her most intimate, connected relationship. And she started to engage with her husband differently. Now, when you engage with your husband differently, he automatically is going to change and adjust his reactions to you. So it only takes one person to really begin to create that change. And once you do that, that can literally change everything inside the dynamics of the relationship. Now, the other thing that happened inside that separation was that her husband got pretty uncomfortable. Now, we spend years complaining, expressing what we need, being unhappy. But the only time, it's just human nature, the only time people really change is when they are in great pain, right? It's this idea of being brought to your knees, or when they have great desire. Those are the two things that can pull you out of this numb, stuck zone. So all of a sudden, when Beth decided to rent an apartment and live across town, he got really uncomfortable. And when we get really uncomfortable, we do many times, in fact, we open up to the possibility of just doing it differently, of learning how to do it differently, because that's uncomfortable. So he got uncomfortable enough to get uncomfortable to learn a new way of engaging with his wife. So what I can tell you is they both changed during that separation, and when they came back together, because they did come back together, what they created together was not the same thing they had before. It was very, very different because both of them were showing up very, very differently. I know you know this intellectually. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to continue to get the same result. So in order to get more information, you've got to be willing to learn how to do it differently and begin to show up very differently inside that relationship. And when you do, watch what happens, because you will get some more information that will help lead you closer to clarity. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. Please give this a like, and if you know someone who could benefit from this information, I hope you'll share it with them. Take good care.